Welcome to our channel Historic Horizon. Before we begin, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you're passionate about the fascinating stories of history's greatest empires. We've got plenty of incredible content lined up, so hit that bell icon to never miss an episode. Now, let's explore the epic rise and dramatic fall of the Mongol Empire. How did a group of nomadic horsemen from the steppes of Central Asia conquer the largest land empire in history? And why, after dominating so much of the known world, did they eventually vanish into the annals of history? An empire that, at its peak, controlled more land than any empire in history. The origins of the Mongols, the birth of a warrior nation. The Mongols were not born into power. They rose from the rugged terrain of the Mongolian steppes, the land of harsh winters and scorching summers, where survival was a constant struggle. It's a landscape that shaped the Mongol people into one of the most resilient and adaptable cultures in history. Life on the steppes demanded that people learn the art of warfare, but it also fostered a unique sense of independence and self-reliance. Before the rise of the Mongol Empire, the Mongols were one of many nomadic tribes scattered across Central Asia. These tribes were often fragmented, constantly warring with each other for dominance. They lived in mobile tents known as yurts, and their livelihoods were based on herding animals like horses, cattle, and sheep. In 1162, a boy named Temujin was born to a minor tribal leader. His father was poisoned by a rival tribe when Temujin was just a child, leaving his family stranded and destitute. Rather than succumbing to defeat, Temujin would rise to unify the fractured Mongol tribes. His story, marked by violence, betrayal, and ambition, would lead to the creation of one of the largest empires the world has ever seen. Temujin's early struggles. From orphan to leader, Temujin's early life was one of hardship. His family was cast out of their tribe, and young Temujin and his mother had to survive in a world full of dangers. It was during this time of adversity that Temujin began to develop the skills and mentality that would later make him a legendary leader. Instead of relying solely on family connections, he began to seek out allies based on merit and loyalty. By forming alliances with other tribes and defeating his rivals in battle, Temujin gained a reputation as a fierce and strategic leader. His ability to unite previously hostile tribes under one banner was unprecedented. In 1206, after years of conquest and diplomacy, Temujin was declared Genghis Khan, the universal ruler. Genghis Khan's military genius. How he conquered an empire. Once Genghis Khan took power, he began to build a military force unlike any the world had seen. The Mongol army was built on speed, discipline, and innovation. Genghis Khan's soldiers were primarily cavalry, and their ability to move rapidly across the land gave them a significant advantage over their enemies. One of the key elements that made the Mongols so effective was their cavalry. Skilled horsemen, they could travel hundreds of miles in a short time. They were also masters of the bow and arrow, able to shoot accurately even while riding at full speed. This gave them unmatched battlefield mobility. But the Mongols didn't rely solely on brute force. Genghis Khan was a brilliant strategist. Psychological warfare became one of the Mongols' most powerful tools. They used fear as a weapon. Often, they would slaughter entire cities, and the mere mention of the Mongols would send enemies fleeing. This reputation alone made many enemies surrender without a fight, knowing that resistance meant certain death. The expansion of the Mongol Empire, conquests across the world. By the time Genghis Khan died in 1227, the Mongol Empire stretched across Central Asia, China, and beyond. But his successors, especially his grandsons, would expand the empire even further. The Mongols first set their sights on the Khwarezmian Empire in Central Asia, and their invasion would prove to be one of the bloodiest. After the Khwarezmian Shah, Muhammad II, insulted a Mongol trade caravan, Genghis Khan responded with ruthless retribution. The Mongols obliterated Khwarezm, killing hundreds of thousands and leaving the region in ruins. After conquering Central Asia, Genghis Khan's descendants, particularly his grandson Hulagu Khan, turned their attention to Persia and the Middle East. The Mongols sacked Baghdad in 1258, effectively ending the Islamic Golden Age. They also expanded westward into Russia and Europe, reaching as far as Hungary and Poland by the mid-13th century. The Mongol Empire at its height. The Mongol Empire wasn't just a military juggernaut. At its height, it was a complex, interconnected political and economic system. Under Genghis Khan and his descendants, the Mongols built an empire that was remarkable not only for its size but also for its efficiency. The empire facilitated trade and communication between East and West, ushering in a period of unprecedented cultural exchange. The Silk Road flourished under Mongol rule, allowing goods, ideas, and technologies to move freely across the empire. Merchants, diplomats, and scholars traveled vast distances, creating an interconnected world centuries ahead of its time. One of the most remarkable aspects of the Mongol Empire was its religious tolerance. Genghis Khan and his successors allowed their subjects to practice their own religions freely. Whether it was Buddhism, Islam, Christianity, or other beliefs, the Mongols ruled with a sense of pragmatism. This helped to solidify their control over such a diverse and vast empire. The decline of the Mongol Empire, internal strife and external forces. Despite its early successes, the Mongol Empire began to fracture in the 14th century. The empire, divided into four major khanates, struggled with internal strife, economic difficulties, and rebellions. After the death of Kublai Khan in 1294, the empire was unable to maintain its unity. Local rulers began to assert more independence, weakening the central authority of the Great Khan. The Mongol Empire became increasingly fragmented, and by the mid-14th century, the Mongols faced massive rebellions and economic collapse. The Black Death, which began in Asia, ravaged the Mongol territories, further destabilizing the empire. In China, the Yuan dynasty, founded by Kublai Khan, faced intense resistance from the Chinese population. In 1368, the Yuan dynasty was overthrown by the Ming dynasty, marking the fall of Mongol rule in China. Other Mongol khanates, such as the Ilkhanate in Persia and the Golden Horde in Russia, also saw their power wane by the 15th century. The Mongols today, modern Mongolia and their enduring legacy. Although the Mongol Empire collapsed centuries ago, its legacy continues to shape the world today. Modern Mongolia, a landlocked country between Russia and China, is home to the descendants of the great Mongol warriors. Mongolia is a democratic republic with a population of around 3 million, but its history is still deeply tied to the nomadic traditions of the past. Today, the Mongols still maintain a deep connection to their ancestors' way of life. In rural areas, people continue to herd animals and live in yurts, just as their ancestors did on the steppes. But urban Mongolia has modernized rapidly, with Ulaanbaatar, the capital, growing into a bustling city with a mix of modern skyscrapers and traditional Mongolian culture. Interestingly, the Mongol legacy is not confined to Mongolia alone. Large populations of ethnic Mongols can be found in China, Russia, and other countries that were once part of the Mongol Empire. While the Mongols no longer control vast territories, their descendants still maintain cultural ties to their nomadic roots. The enduring influence of the Mongol Empire. The Mongol Empire's impact on the world cannot be understated. The empire's establishment of trade routes and the facilitation of cultural exchanges paved the way for the globalization we experience today. The Mongols not only changed the course of history through military conquest but also through the exchange of knowledge, technology, and goods between the East and West. The Mongols may have vanished as a dominant military power, but their legacy endures. From the development of global trade networks to the cultural and intellectual exchanges they fostered, the Mongols helped shape the modern world. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the rise and fall of the Mongol Empire. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the world's most fascinating empires, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to Historic Horizon, and ring the bell so you never miss another video. What part of Mongol history intrigued you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'll see you in the next video, where we'll continue exploring the great empires of the past.